No! Oh! Alright guys, after the past few months this thing's had some abuse and it's time for a rebuild. And in this video we're going to turn it into this. So quite a long video guys, get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself some cookies and sit back and watch how you make your Xmaxx nice again. If you get dirt stuck in your screw heads, you can use a small little screwdriver, get all that dirt out of there before you put your hex driver in there. It'll stop rounding it off. We're going to strip this thing right down to almost nothing. Alright guys, this prop shaft is bent like a banana, and this is the one that we filled with expanding foam, and I don't think it really helped it that much. So if anyone else got any ideas what we can do to these to make them last a bit longer, let me know. Right, we've got a bit of a gearing issue in this truck. In that last video it sort of lost pretty much most of its drive and made an awful fucking noise. It's more than just props are. Definitely something inside a diff or something somewhere is gone. We've got to try and figure out what part that is. At first I thought maybe spur gear, but that looks fine. Alright guys, take note where these plugs go. When you pull these out and you can't remember where they go, it could be a pain in the butt. So take a photo or look at my photo before you take any wires out, and then you can put it all back into the same one again. These power tools really do make light work when you're working on these trucks. If you have to take every single screw out of a normal hand wrench, that's going to take you a long time. I'm going to clean all these bearings out because a lot of them have gone rough. I've got water in them before and dirt and dust and stuff, so we're going to clean them out, and the ones that are bad we're going to replace. Drive shafts all look good actually. It's a good improvement over the 6S truck. They put bigger pins in here and not had any issues with these yet. It's worth keeping screws that go with certain parts in their own little tray, because when it comes to putting your thing back together again later on, yeah, damage. Knackered shock tower, so we're going to have to change that out. But yeah, keep all your screws that go with each sort of part in its own little plastic tray or something. Then when you come to putting your thing back together again, it makes it a lot easier. Broken steering servo saver mount again. That's one of the main reasons when you get bad steering on these trucks, is that post is snapped off of the chassis. And I put some epoxy resin in that last time, and that still broke, so I'm going to try something else. Diffs, they're still looking good. They're still the ones that come with the kit. Broken cup there, so we'll have to change that out. But yeah, front and rear diffs are still the same ones that the truck came with. So 8S diff gears, guys. If you've got a 6S truck and you do gears in, just put standard 8S gears in. I've not had any troubles with mine at all yet. And even the top upper bulkhead is broken off on the top wishbone mount there, so we'll have to change that out. Guys, if you think you know what gear is damaged in my truck, what's making that clicking noise and sort of losing most of its drive, you know, put a note in the comments, see what you think what it could be. Well, this diff looks alright on the outside. Crown wheel and pinion, perfect. Rear shock tower looking good. This is a GDS spur gear that I'm running still, 50 tooth. No problems with that, that's a year old. I used to run this same spur in my 6S truck, now it's in my 8S truck. This is where I think the problem lies with this centre diff. I reckon the inside gears are stripped, that's probably why it's lost most of its drive. Upper bulkhead looks good, lower bulkhead looks good. On the outside this diff still looks perfect. We're going to break it down a bit later and have a little look inside. So here's the epoxy resin mod what I done. I don't know if it makes the diffs last longer, that was my thinking. Alright, so here's the knackered part so far. And considering the abuse that this thing's had, that's not bad. And here's all the rest of the trucking bits. See, if you keep all your little bits together, it makes it a lot easier when it comes to putting your truck back together again. New 8S shock shaft, guys. They're stronger than the 6S ones. You know, on the bit on the bottom when I used to snap, the thread is a lot thicker on the newer ones, and they're still the same part number, so it's a bit of a lucky dip when you buy new shock shafts if you're going to get the old ones or the new ones. Alright, so I've got a bucket of warm soapy water and I wash all my muddy parts in there. is a Abzima cleaning brush. That seems to work quite well, just like a big toothbrush. Alright, so bearings, bearing blaster, or I use brake cleaner as well sometimes. I think it's almost the same stuff probably, both degreases. Give all the bearings a blast, get all that dirt and stuff off of there. Right, that one's run out, so we'll use the brake cleaner. Idea is to get all your bearings perfectly smooth. If there's any rough bits in them, then you can try and clean them out and re-oil them, and if after all that they're still rough, then just change them out and put new bearings in. Running your RCs in water, that's what really kills them. Alright, so if you can't get it, if you can't get your bearings smooth, you can pop these dust shields off and then give it a bit more of a blast inside there. Because normally you just got a bit of sand or something stuck in there. Other times it's the actual bearing coming apart inside, and then they're done. Just change them out. These are the RPM bearings for the rear hubs, and they're quite expensive to replace, so we'll try and make these smooth again. If not, we'll change them out. So make sure you get all that dirt and dust and stuff out of there. And yep, that's gone smooth again. So I got this ZX1, which is what I've used so far, is the best bearing oil. Makes your bearings last longer, makes them smooth. And I've had this same little applicator thing here now for, I think, oh god, probably 5 or 6 years, probably more than that. And it's still got half the oil in there, so you don't need much, a few little drops. Pop the old shields back on, or the other side, and if they're smooth, put them back in your truck. If not, chuck them in the bin and put new ones in. Right, on my plastics, I use this Muck Off MO94. It's a multi-purpose spray and it's got PTFE inside it. And pretty much what it does, it just makes all your plastics look nice again. Makes it all look brand new. Lubes up little bits and bobs. Stops things from going rusty. So right, when you're putting your steering back together again, make sure you put this part on the right way round. Right, you want to make sure that when you put your steering together that everything is perfectly smooth. You don't want anything binding, because anywhere in your steering system what goes tight, that's going to make your steering on your truck get worse and worse and worse. So the whole steering system, make sure it's nice. Right, this excess, that oil stuff that we sprayed on there, I'll just clean that off with a rag. In here you see my steering mods. If you go back and watch one of my earlier videos, you can see what I've done there. That gives you a bit better steering, makes it a bit more reliable. It just stiffens up the servo saver spring. Right, so here's all my parts, come out the bucket. And I'll just get all this, get some of this Muck Off spray, just coat everything with it. All my metal parts, all my plastic parts. Let that soak in for a little while, and then just wipe it off with a rag, and it makes all those parts look almost new. Alright, so these are the pins for the drive shafts, so any greasy bits, we'll just use that bearing cleaner or brake cleaner or solvent or some kind of degreaser to get all that oil off of there. If it's a new kind of degreaser what you used, make sure it doesn't melt your plastic, so try it on a little bit first. Because I know some degreasers and thinners and stuff that will melt your plastics, so careful with that, guys. Check all these drive shafts, make sure that they're perfectly smooth. If not, you can get a little file out and round, and flatten out any sort of sharp edges and stuff. If all else fails, just replace. Alright, so we're popping all these bearings back in now. putting this truck back together again, guys. Just make sure that everything's super smooth. Same with these suspension pins. After mum fell into that water that time, water and stuff and dirt and I don't know, rust and whatever else. Got inside the suspension joint pins and it made an awful squeaking noise. The suspension went all tight and stiff. The steering went all tight and stiff. I mean, it's just not nice to drive anymore. So to make sure that all these pins are super smooth. If there's any dirt or any rough bits on there, get them off of there. If any pins are bent, roll them on a flat surface. If any are bent, then you'll have to change them out. But these are all still the standard pins that the truck came with, and they're all perfect. Apart from I think I lost one or two here and there, but haven't bent any yet. Alright, so these are the new wheel bearings. These are the inner bearings on the front. Same on the back, but I've got RPM arms on the back. Not arms, the hubs. But these are a bit of a weak point, these bearings here, because they're so thin-walled. But they're easy to replace, so. I'll wipe all that oil off on the outside of the bearings, because otherwise all the dirt and dust is going to stick to them later on. On the inside you can leave the oil because not really any dirt gets in there. So yep, everything's lovely and smooth. Right, so here where your kingpin goes through on the knuckle, the hub carrier, make sure that everything is smooth. There's a bit of a burr on here, so I'm filing that off of a file. When you put all this together, make sure that every single part moves nice. You know, if you cut any corners here, you know, every little bit that moves, it all adds up, and you're gonna just end up with awful steering. Like this is an Xmaxx 4mm hinge pin reamer tool. So just shove that in the hole everywhere where a hinge pin goes, and just move it in and out. It just gets rid of any burrs. It's gonna make everything nicer. I mean, you could probably use a 4mm drill bit, but I've got one of these 4mm reamers, so that's what I'm going to use. Just keep going in and out, rotate it slightly until you can feel that there's almost no resistance left. Then you can slide your pin back in and everything should be nice. Yep, that moves nicely, good enough for me. Alright, so with the diffs, I'll wipe off all the grease and stuff as much as I can with a bit of bog roll, toilet roll or something. Get most of that off, then give it a blast with some of this brake cleaner, get the rest of it off. Have to change this drive cup out on this one, it's got the edge missing. But I'll strip the bolt that holds it in, guys. Too much Loctite when I put that in last time and I stripped it. So if you get yourself a drill bit, and this is an M3 screw what we got to get out, so 4mm drill bit, something like that, 4.5mm, something just a little bit bigger than what that thread is, and you can just drill that screw head off and it will just slide straight off. Then if you didn't drill too deep, you can see there's still a little bit of that screw left sticking out. But because it's Loctited in still, we're going to have to heat that up, break the Loctite, and then hopefully that'll come out with a pair of pliers. I put a bit of toilet paper or rag or something around the diff when I'm undoing it, because if that starts slipping in your hand, it hurts. But if your man don't care, then you don't have to. Oh, that diff, that looks alright inside actually. So it's not that diff that's slipping. Teeth are all good. Right, we have to heat this remains of that screw up a little bit. Shims look good. Someone said about my two-wheeling that I'm going to eat these shims, but these are still the same ones that the truck came with, and they're fine, so I'm going to leave them in there for now. Alright, so I've got one of these little petrol torches. You can get them off of eBay or Amazon for like next to nothing. You just heat that screw up for about 30 seconds probably. You don't have to get it glowing red hot or anything like that. And then with a bit of luck, that screw will just come straight out. Easy peasy. Yep, so I'm putting those plastic washers back on. I've had no issues with them yet. You can use one of these electric screwdriver things for doing all your screws back up. But don't do it all the way. Use a hand one. Do the last little bit by hand. Otherwise it's so easy to strip these threads out of here. So these bearings here are still nice and free. So just put a bit of bearing oil on there. Alright, so I'll just use any Loctite I've got laying around. I don't care if it's medium strength, light strength, whatever it is, that's what I put on there. That's probably why I rounded that thread off though on the on this cup, because I probably used the one that's too high strength. But better than it all falling out when you're out bashing. Good little way when you're doing this up is to hold your cup. You can just slide a screwdriver in there just to hold it tight while you're doing it up. This feels perfect. Alright, so we got the new front bulkhead here, and new upper bulkhead, and new diff cover. A lot of people shim their diffs, but I'm not going to bother on this one because I've not done any damage yet on the standard 8S gears without shims. So, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As you're putting stuff back together, guys, just make sure that everything's always smooth. If anything starts binding up, check out what it is. Right, I use this engineering grease on my gears. It's got PTFE in there. Just make stuff a bit smoother. But you can use any grease, any general purpose car grease. Hasn't got to be model grease. Put in there what you want, really. A little trick here, guys. If you're using an old bulkhead and your screws are a bit rounded off, you can drill out the holes a little bit with, like, I think a 2mm drill bit, and or 2.5mm drill bit, and then you can put longer screws in there. Doesn't work on all the holes, but it works on some. Remember guys, do the last bit up by hand. Right, here's the old chassis. Nothing wrong with it. It's still perfectly fine. But I've got a brand new one kicking around. It's been on my shelf for a couple of months now, not doing anything. It's got the shock towers on there, so I'm just going to use that on this build. If I ever get enough of the old knackered parts together, I might build another X-Maxx out of them and just have one for the Hall of Shame. It's easier to hook your steering back up, guys, when the bulkhead's not attached yet. You can get your driver right in by the gap here to do that screw up, otherwise when you've screwed that back on it makes it a lot more difficult. Oops, that screw's supposed to go in after you put the steering plate back on. Alright guys, this is where I think the problem is inside here. It lost drive to all four wheels, so I can't see what else it can be. No, gasket's gone. That doesn't matter. Grease in here so thick, that's not going to come out anyway. I'll put an old air plug in here guys, if you're wondering. That's strange. I was expecting this to be a big lump of mushed up goo in here, but it all looks perfect. Looking perfect in here, guys. That's strange. That's strange, guys. Yeah, why has my Xmaxx lost drive? Everything looks perfect so far. Oh well, let's put it back together then, I suppose. Yeah, that gasket will do. It's a silicone ear plug what I've got in here, guys. Wanted to make it tighter so I can do standing backflips again. And do these bolts up evenly so that you make sure that it clamps down nice. Same again, any moving part, make sure it spins nice. Maybe the problem's inside this push drive thing. Not sure how it works in there, I've never had one apart. Oh, everything, I don't know, looks alright, I guess. Even if that rubber damper thing's like missing altogether, it still can't like slip. So it's not that. Guys, I'm confused now. I'm really confused. Why is it losing drive? Let me know in the comments, guys. If you think you know what it is, let me know. Because I haven't got a bloody clue. So even this pin's fine. The gears are fine. I can't see anything broken. Everything moves smoothly and freely. There's no filings or dead teeth anywhere, so I just haven't got a clue what it could be. Crazy. I'll have a look in his rear diff. And that looks good. I mean, if that had any damage in there, you'd see all the bits of metal in there floating around in the oil. And there's nothing, it just looks perfect. That's strange. Could it be the motor? But that wouldn't make that noise. So strange. I'm just going to put the whole thing back together again. See, it feels perfect. I'll just build the whole thing up again and just use it and see. It's not the drive shafts, it's not the centre diff, it's not the front and rear diffs, it's not the spur, it's not the cush drive. So guys, I don't know what it could be. Really, I've got no clue what it could be. I mean, the splines in the prop shaft, even though the prop shaft was bent, the splines are good. That's strange. I'm just going to build the whole thing back together and just hope the problem's gone away. But if not, I'm going to have to strip it down again. Normally, from my experience, if something's slipping, then you end up with a load of metal filings and swarf and stuff, but nothing anywhere. Use this 4mm reamer on all my suspension joints as well, just to make sure that it all moves lovely and smoothly. If anything binds too much, just take it apart again and do it again. It just makes it just drive bad if everything's tight on there. That's good enough. I mean, if you was racing these things, if you're a racer, you'd probably make sure that these are even smoother, but that's good enough for a basher. I didn't bother rebuilding the shocks because the shocks still feel perfect. I didn't need filling up with any oil. If you hold your shocks up and down and move it in and out, then you can tell if there's any air in there. So again, I'm not racing, so I'm not that fussy. If they feel good, they're good. Putting brand new bumpers on this, the other ones are really scraped up and looking battered. I want this looking nice again, this X-Maxx. Right, I used epoxy resin in the back bulkhead last time. I'm going to try hot glue this time. Only because some of that epoxy, because it's where it's so brittle, a lot of it fell out. So I want to give hot glue a go. And where I snapped this servo saver off before, I had the epoxy resin in there, but I'm going to go for hot glue and an M4 screw. So I'm going to glue that right in there. A lot of the times your bulkhead could be perfect and you just break that servo saver bit off and you've got to strip your whole front end of your truck down just to change that part. So see if it lasts like this time. Awesome ESC this Maxx X, guys. Fits in there almost perfectly. All the wires plug straight in. The motor wires plug straight in. This is where my picture comes in handy, so I know which port everything plugs into. That's the easiest way to get the motor fan back on, I found. Just wallop it. Alright guys, it's almost done. This is a body I painted ages ago. It's been sitting around, so I'm going to use it this time. And some new tyres. I've got some of these paddle things. I'm going to give this water crossing thing a go soon. What I really want to do is try and backflip it off a wave somewhere. Oh, look at that guys, that looks sick. Truck's looking too nice to use. I'm not going to want to get it dirty now. Oh, check it out guys. That's what it looked like before. We've gone from that to this. If you like that video guys, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell button, and if you think you know what caused that what's causing that stripping and losing drive thing, give me a note in the comments. Alright guys, see you soon.